Hello, Jonah. It has been great working with you, but we need to discontinue services until further notice. Thank you to you and your team for all your hard work. Please cancel our subscription right away. Thank you. What if this happened to you one day before rent was due, and it was the money you planned on using to get it paid, and all of a sudden the tides change in a blink of an eye? How would you feel? Well, a similar situation happened to me, and it's only one of many similar situations. But here I am telling the tale. Running and building an agency is one of the most challenging experiences you can undergo. And depending on your skill set and the type of person you are, will determine many of the experiences you have. We're talking stress tolerance. So, with that said, this is why it hurts to build an agency. So, to start this off, I'm going to go through some of the primary challenges that I've faced when growing my agency. Number one, alignment. So when I talk about alignment, um, it really has to do with who I was as a person when I got into this space. Really, the person who got into the space was, me 2, 3 years ago, is completely different than the person I am now. And the reason I am completely different than the person I was because I was in total misalignment of what I actually was getting into. And I do believe that many or even most people who try to get into this space will be getting into this space with misalignment, because most people who get in the space um, tend to be, a little bit younger, maybe 18 to 25 years old, somewhere in that range. And the thing is, most people who start or try to get into this space are usually inspired by some other um, agency owner or YouTuber who basically makes content around this space as a whole. And what I have found is, through my experience, is all that hype, all of that, really exciting content and this and that, how to do this, how to do that, how to get your first client, and this and that. That's what it is. I mean, it's a lot of hype, and it really doesn't get down to the root of what is actually happening, what's occurring. Um, it's completely disconnected, to be completely honest, because through my experience of doing what I do and going through the trials of building an agency and running an agency, um, there's a lot of inauthenticity out there when it comes to getting into this space. A lot of these content creators, they have educational content, and they, you know, are trying to build their, customer base, which, is usually people who are starting out who want to get into the space, and they sell some sort of course, or they're doing this or that. And really, to kind of, break this down, from my experience, is, when I first got into this space, I fell into that trap of the hype. I wouldn't say I necessarily fell into that trap. I knew there was opportunity there, but I was very inexperienced, and my expectations were completely misaligned because a lot of these content creators that make content around this, they don't really express the authentic reality of it, and it really messes with your expectations as a beginner. So when I first started, I was, of course, I needed money. I didn't want to continue working for somebody else. I didn't want to get a job just doing whatever so I could pay the bills. And I really made the decision that I was going to make this work no matter what, um, so that I could, you know, build something that, served me on my terms, as opposed to you just fall into that trap of needing to make money, needing to do something, or nothing's going to work at all. So I had my back to the wall when I first started, but my expectations when I started, and all the strategy and the things that I was doing behind the scenes without really having any experience, I was very adamant about building expectations for myself and this and that really did not match up with reality ever. So I kept hitting brick wall after brick wall after brick wall, and getting knocked down because I had this idea in my mind that I wanted to make money. Um, I wanted to make good money without, always having to exchange my time to make that money. So basically, I wanted to close deals and I wanted to delegate the work and I wanted to, build this system of basically streamlining everything we do for our clients so that I didn't have to be involved. So I could make money without being involved in the business. And that approach, you know, I had a lot of ambition in the beginning, but that's not the reality of it because when you're starting a company and you're providing a service of some sort, um, that's what it is. You're providing a service, so you're dealing with real people who have they might have a decent budget to afford what you have to offer, but you're dealing with real people who are giving you their money um, in exchange for some degree of value. And if you're not providing that value with complete integrity, you're going to continually struggle. So that's where I went wrong is I thought that I could just hire someone, offset the work to them, and then I could scale up that way. But that's not the case because what became um, my realization and reality was that business is competitive. You know, when you're providing a service of some sort, in my case, I'm doing thumbnail creation, you're competing in a market of talented independent freelancers that can do the same work that you're doing, potentially for a lower price than what you're trying to sell it for. And you have to deal with these number ratios. Like if you hire someone who's talented, how much are you going to pay them? How much are you going to charge the client? Where's your profit margin at? And those discrepancies really are very, very, very important. So essentially, I started with that expectation of I could just hire, offset the work, and I could scale that way. And I realized, wow, that doesn't work because this is competitive. You need to be involved in order to bring your service to a level that is competitive in the market. And that's where all the work is if you are offering, in my position, I'm offering thumbnail creation. I'm not going to be able to bring my service to a competitive level unless I do the work myself and I figure out the nuances of what I'm actually doing in my market. Most importantly, my market, what do they need? What's going to benefit them? Because if I'm not benefiting my market at a high level, then they're not going to pay you. They're not going to be happy with the work. They're not going to do this. They're not going to do that. So this was a big problem I kept running into is where is the value in what I'm providing and how can I keep scaling that value up to grow the business? And yeah, that was initially one of the big hurdles. Another was, I was taking work from all angles. Um, I take work for social media management in the beginning, video editing, um, graphic design for Instagram, YouTube thumbnails. I was doing everything, and I was basically trying to hire out for those specific roles as I was taking in the work, and I was trying to build the systems at the same time, and it really just doesn't work. It doesn't work when you continually have if you're divided in your business, it's not going to work. You can't divide different things. It works for a little bit because you're bringing in money. You need money to survive, obviously, but really, if you don't do it sooner than later, you're going to find that you really have to narrow things down and just really it's about efficiency, like what specific part of the market are you serving and how are you serving them, and you really have to narrow it down to very simple. Like, you want the steps to be very minimal. I do this, I do this, this is how I do it, and I'm doing it, like, for one specific type of thing. Like the quote that Bruce Lee says is, I don't fear the man that practices 10,000 kicks. I fear the man that practices one kick 10,000 times. The same the same idea applies to business. If you want to be competitive in the market, you need to do one particular thing, very, very well. And there are services out there that are general, like they do this, they do that, you do this, do that, which is probably fine for those type of businesses, depending on their marketing strategy and how they actually gain their customers and retain their customers. But essentially, when it comes to competition, the Bruce Lee quote applies every time. Um, so yeah, that's my take on alignment. Um, I think what you can take away from alignment is, don't get into the business because you heard someone say this, or you saw a content creator that inspired you to do this. Um, you need to get into the business because, number one, you need to continue to work on yourself, and you need to figure out how you can get paid for that work that you're doing on yourself. So what you want to do is not uh, don't chase the facade that a lot of these content creators are putting out there for you. Don't just get on the bandwagon and do what everybody else is doing, because everybody's different. What you want to do is you want to evaluate your passions as an individual, and the way you can do that is by really tapping into, like, what you did as a kid that you enjoyed most. Whether we're not just talking about just random dopamine things like video games, or playing outside or playing tag, like, kind of kind of figure out like what you were passionate about that kind of translates into the marketplace in some way. Like, is there value, like, in accordance to something that you were passionate about? Um, this is usually the best route. This is the route I took. Um, because if you're doing something you're passionate about, then it's going to take a lot of the stress off of just disciplining yourself to do something because you have to do it, and it's also going to propel you forward and um, spark your creative thinking. And a lot of business success is innovation, creativity, and if you're doing something you're passionate about, uh, you're going to you're going to open yourself up to that creative type of thinking for your particular skill set. And yeah, when you first start the business, or you start your business, uh, I would start independent. I would do it myself first. And a lot of people don't like to hear that, but it's okay. You need to just let go of the expectations you have for the future of like this and that. I'm not saying don't have goals and, aspire to do this and that, but just know that usually your expectations aren't going to fit, what the reality is of actually doing the work and getting there. Um, just focus on the now, what you're good at. Focus on the small wins, you know, and just continue to look out for yourself first. Don't let yourself get controlled by other people, especially clients, or this or that. That was something I struggled with. I was not adamant about, I wasn't respecting myself and my time and, what I offered as individual. And these are things that you need to learn about yourself. And the way you do that is by pushing forward. When you communicate with others and your clients and things like that, um, I would be very, strategic to, protect yourself first and foremost. Um, you don't have to say a lot. You can say a lot with less. So, few words here and there, um, just to ensure things are on the right track and moving in the right direction. And yeah, that's what I have for you for the alignment phase. So for the next challenge that I want to go over, which kind of branches off from some of the points I was making in the alignment phase, is expectations versus reality. So usually when you're getting into this space and you know, you don't have much experience at all, you don't know the reality of, how this actually works. Your expectations really start to come from the content you consume elsewhere that inspires you to actually take action and do this. So I just want to be straight with you right now. Um, like the expectations that you have of making money and not having to do any work really, or you know basically this whole grand like vision of just being a baller, or you know just rising to the top and doing this and doing that, eventually having the car you always wanted, having uh excess finances, um you know to do whatever you want, do this and do that. Typically, I mean, those expectations really are not real. I'm not saying that you aren't going to achieve financial abundance, drive the car you want, have the home you want, have the finance you have, have the relationships you want, which should come well before the first things I mentioned, because that was one of the big mistakes I had. Was I made so many big sacrifices to chase this expectation I had for myself of just having money, having the business, being an entrepreneur, like this whole entire like thing I created in my mind that I was chasing and trying to fit, um, really was creating a lot of resistance for me. And I was too inexperienced and I didn't know better. I didn't know. So I just kept going through the pain. I kept going through the pain, trying to fit this expectation over and over again. And the reality didn't match up. So that's what I have to say is, to avoid a lot of that pain that you're going to endure when you go through, whatever career choice you go through, whether it's in the agency or this or that, something you aspire to, do long term and it be rewarding for you, both through, your relationships, you know, um, what you bring to the world, how it, affects you, how it affects other people. You really have to get grounded in that. It's really important. You have to start small. You have to live frugal. You have to basically, anti-consumer. You have to eliminate a lot of things that we're programmed, um, to do throughout our life. Like we're in a very consumer culture, so many to most people are going to fall victim to this vicious habitual cycle of consume, consume, consume. And it's going to hurt, but you have to change those habits one at a time. And you have to stay grounded in reality of what you're actually doing. Because if you want to do great things and achieve a lot, you need to dial it back. You need to start at who you are as a person and what you're going to be able to do consistently without essentially just going insane. Like you have to focus on what you're good at, as far as what you're passionate about, and you can leverage previous experience, like I said, tap into what you liked as a kid, you know, leveraging previous experience is, a good strategic move. What are you already good at? What have you already put the time into? Like if you're starting from scratch on something, there's it's going to have a bigger learning curve. That's just the way life is. So if you can translate some sort of passion experience, um, now into the market in some way, the learning curve is going to be probably, still big, but you're going to, you know, already have a lot of experience in certain areas. So you're just going to be branching and building off of those areas, to add value to the market in some way. So yeah, I would definitely dial back the expectations. Don't fall into the trap of believing the get rich, persona that a lot of these marketers, YouTubers are putting out there. It's very inauthentic, and a lot of these people are having a success by preying on the expectations of beginners, people who haven't gotten to the space yet. They prey on, they sell the dream, they sell this facade, everything. Like it's very like this is common. This is happening in like almost every creator that you'll see on YouTube. They're doing some degree of this. So you just need to be aware that the expectations versus reality are going to be very different for you. So just take my advice, pieces that I mentioned, and it will do you a lot of justice. All right. So the next challenge I want to go over is accountability and leadership. And I would say that this is the backbone of growing an agency is accountability and leadership. And the reason that this is the backbone of growing an agency is because of the numerous responsibilities you will take on as you grow. So, when you work with clients, you're going to be managing client relationship. You're going to be managing the invoicing. You're going to be building the systems. You're going to be hiring the team. You're going to be leading the team. You're going to be teaching the team. You're going to be building material in your agency to automate some of these processes as you go. You're going to be dealing with clients that don't want to work with you anymore. You're going to be dealing with you're going to deal with the creeping thoughts of, is the work I'm providing for the client good enough? Are they going to continue working with me next month? Are they going to cancel on working with me? And then you're going to have clients that do cancel working with you. These are some of the toughest parts of building the agency or just being an entrepreneur in general, is that you're dealing with a lot of risk. So when you work with new clients and this that, um, it's not like your income is going to be set. Like it's not. You have to provide the service. You have to do good work. Things can happen. Relationships can go bad. There can be some tension. You got to deal with your emotions. You have to do damage control. The accountability and leadership when growing a company is like, I mean, it's like leading an army into war. Like you're at the forefront. You have your army behind you, which is, all the people who support your company vision and who are, working for you. Um, you have to inspire them. You have to lead them. You have to empathize with them if something is going wrong or they feel a certain way. Um, you have to put out fires that, are going to happen here, there. Like it's all very, very, very challenging. And a lot of this stuff, happens before you're ever making any real money. Like, you could get paid like in the beginning. I mean, you could get paid more working at, Walmart trading your time, and you would have security. You wouldn't have all this accountability and leadership and responsibility. Um, So these are the sacrifices you make when you start to build an agency. Like there's a lot that comes with it. And if you can get over the initial hurdles and transform, and when you endure that pain, you get up and you keep going and you keep going and you keep going. If you can endure the beginning stages of that, the experience that you gain is going to translate. Um, you know, if the company that you are growing, if it starts to, get to a higher level, a higher level, a higher level, a higher level, then you could say, hey, the beginning phase, it's really been worth it. It's translated. Even if it doesn't translate, I mean, the experience you gain is super valuable. Um, there's a lot of life lessons involved in growing and starting an agency. So essentially, it's 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 really it's really about just knowing what to expect with that. Um, you building and starting an agency really will challenge your character as a person. Um, and when you do business, you have to keep your integrity at the forefront. It's very important to be honest, and integrity is very, very, very important in communication, whether it be with your team that you hire, your clients. Um, everything needs to maintain integrity. So yeah, that's what I have for accountability and leadership. All right, so the next challenge that I want to cover is learning and executing. So when you start an agency or you're growing an agency, it's a constant process of learning and executing on new things you learn, new discoveries you make. You always need to be learning because you're never you're never going to know it all, but you are going to continue to improve both at what you're doing, and you're going to continue to uh, increase the knowledge of you know that you have in your space. So just know that as a beginner, I mean, there's a lot that you're not going to know. So it really is about um, investing in the continual action, because I think the best way you can learn is by taking action, massive action, um, every single day, and then based on what your action is, um, you want to analyze the result of your action. And you're going to do this inherently because you're going to be taking a lot of action. You're going to be working. So you want to continually be aware of the results that are occurring with the actions you are taking. And you're going to learn a lot of the nature of what you're doing because, when you work with clients, you work with your team. When you're communicating with them, you don't know exactly how they're going to respond. You don't know exactly how they feel. You don't know exactly what they need. So, as you progress, the best teacher in this whole entire process is going to be your experience of considering criticism and understanding why your clients or prospects or your team respond the way they do, why they take the actions the way they do. And through this constant cycle of repetition and taking action and learning from the actions you take and the results they have, you're going to continue to gain that experience. And that experience is very, very, very valuable in your journey. So you need to have critical thinking abilities when you are taking action. And you need to always be a student of the experience or the experiences you are having through the actions you are having. You need to be a student of it all. Do not think you know it all. Keep your head level with your shoulders and become a student of the process, the journey, because that's what you are. That's what we all are. Even people out here crushing it, like who are very high level or their success speaks for themselves. They're still students of their journey. They're still learning and taking action. So, in combination with your ability to learn and take action, is I would say I would definitely invest in the right education to streamline a lot of the trial and error associated with action you take, because you want to make sure the action you take is going to maximize your results to the time that you're sacrificing to get those results. So whatever type of education you can invest in that is in line with the journey you want to take is going to be well worth it. It's just, it could be really difficult to gauge what education you should be investing in when most of the things that are free, whether it be on YouTube or this or that, um, it can be like just so much like information overload, and a lot of it is very sensationalized. It's not authentic. It doesn't speak directly to you. So, this is where people say that having a mentor is very valuable, is because you're speaking to an actual person. And if they're willing to, work with you and help you, you're getting authenticity from them. So that authenticity is very valuable because it's rare. It's rare to get that just behind your computer when you watch YouTube videos from this, that. Even if the information that you're learning is valuable, it can be very hard to discern what information is actually the most valuable for you. So initially, though, I mean, I would really lean toward just taking action and being a student of the uh, experiences you have, the results that you have from your action, and just constantly just be a student of it and be patient. As long as you keep taking action and you are involved in learning how you can get better based on the result of your actions, and you continually go and you persist and you're patient, you're going to always be on the right track. And there's going to be ways that you could be more efficient here and there, but don't burn yourself out. Maintain balance and be okay with it. Be balanced and continue to persist and be patient. All right, that's what I have for learning and executing. All right, so the fifth and final challenge that I would like to share with you is emotions. And this is arguably one of the biggest challenges I have had in my personal experience, is because of the type of person I am, and uh, I tend to be more sensitive, you know, and my emotions. Um, I definitely had to uh, really take time to understand my emotions and to keep them in check, because the emotional journey of starting and growing an agency is is definitely a roller coaster. I mean, you're going to have big wins, you're going to have small wins, you're going to have big failures, and you're going to have small failures. And they happen all the time. Um, I mean, you could have a big win and then you could have a big failure, or you could have a small win and a small failure, or you could have two big wins back to back, or you could have two big failures back to back. Um, this is just the nature of transformation and growing. Is you know nothing is ever going to just be good all of the time. It's a constant fluctuation of experiences and results, and it it can be very hard on you. I mean, the emotions that I have experienced in starting and growing my agency up until this point have been one of the. I mean, it's it's very tough, but at the same time, suffering through those feelings of just not quite making it in this regard, or some sort of emotional disconnect in this regard, not knowing what to do in this regard. Um, the suffering has, really allowed me to get more grounded in my reality of the situation, which is essentially why the suffering, occurs. I mean, it teaches you a lesson. So when things aren't going your way, it's good to not hold on to wanting things to go your way all the time. You kind of want to zen out when you're doing business. It's you need to understand that the big failures, they're going to come. You are going to encounter big challenges. They're never going to go away. And the way that you can keep your emotions in check is by accepting that what you do isn't always going to be perfect. Even if you do your best, even if you I mean, even if you got on at midnight because you saw an opportunity, you worked your butt off until like 3 in the morning, and you feel so content and satisfied. You're like, wow, I I'm spending my time doing this to move my business forward, and there are millions and millions of people who are sleeping right now, but I'm up here. I'm taking the time to move my business forward and to improve myself, and all sounds great. And then come to know, you put that time in, and then it just slaps you in the face, and then you're just sitting there. Your energy's gone. You invested all of this energy in at an inconvenient time, and it didn't translate. It actually turned into something that you completely didn't expect, and it threw your entire day off. Your emotions were all out of line. You felt like crying. You don't know what to do. That is part of the learning experience of growing the business. It's it's about accepting the reality of things, is that even even if you're doing your best at this time or that time, or you have this idea that, okay, if I really work hard to prove myself, or I do this, then I'm going to feel better. I'm going to have this as a result. That's not the way it works, because the variables involved in growing a business do not care about what you're doing, how you feel. You have to completely you have to isolate the nature of business and accept it for what it is. And you have to keep your emotions in check by not by understanding that when things don't go your way, or when things go your way, You need to keep your head level with your shoulders and understand that there's no such thing as, the ultimate celebration or the ultimate failure that just drove you into the ground. Um, there's always going to be another day for you to get up and continue. So, another big thing is that when you do experience a big win in your business, um, do not do not celebrate like you just climbed to the top of the mountain and you're done. Do not do that. I have done that numerous times, and it always comes back to hit me in the face because I have to get up and I have to work again and I have to continue. And then I have this idea in my mind that I had when I got the big win. I'm like, oh, I made it. Finally, you know, no more stress, no more anything. I'm here. No, that is not the reality. When you have a big win of any sort, it's good to celebrate. It's good to accept it. But it's not good to forget that this is just one small point in your journey and that the journey ahead is colossal compared to that big win. So just stay balanced and know that if you have a big win or a big failure, that you see it for what it is and you know that it's just another point in your journey of learning and experiencing to continue getting to the next level. But yeah, if there's anything you really, really take away from this, because this affected me so much, is when you're feeling down and when you're feeling very anxious, stressed, or just you're just very unsure of something, just know that it's okay to feel that way and just let it go and accept that the outcomes are going to change from time to time. And it's just like a game of going with the flow. Don't get don't get so caught up and attached to the feeling of the failure, the feeling of the win. Keep a distance, stay grounded, and just continue to develop your patience and persistence while maintaining balance. That's what's really going to serve you in the long run of progressing in your business or your agency. All right, guys, so these were my 5 primary challenges that I have experienced up until this point, building and growing my agency over the last 2 to 3 years. And I am glad that I could share it with you from an authentic point of view and to really get down to the heart to heart, conversation so that I can bring value to your life and, help you persist through a lot of, the challenges, experiences that you're going to have in your own life, you know, whether, whatever you choose to do, whether it's build and grow an agency or pursue some other type of business or career. I'm glad I was able to share this with you. And lastly, I'd like to include a bonus tip that I put together when I was putting um, the structure for this video together in a document. And the bonus tip is the glorious trophy at the end is a facade. The true trophy of your journey is when you are able to get up after you take numerous hard falls and keep moving forward. It is monumental that you choose something you are passionate about opposed to what appears to merit the most return. Money and success are irrelevant to the journey. Communication, relationships, and the hours you put into your craft are what matter most. Choose something you want to master and take steps toward mastering it. As you progress, build systems and take risks. Even if you fail from a big risk, you profit from the experience. Everything in your journey is profit when it comes to experience. So take the risks consistently. It can hurt a lot, when you are certain of an outcome or afraid of rejection, but you need to be easy on yourself and understand that through those experiences, you can gain new perspectives and advantages that will translate through persistent action. All right, guys, so this was why it hurts to build an agency. I hope you enjoyed this video. Please like the video and give me your thoughts in the comments below. If you have any questions, pass those along as well, and I will go through them and follow up with you guys. All right, thanks for watching.